You know the story we're all told, that to be a millionaire, you need a genius-level IQ, a fancy degree from an Ivy League school, or maybe just the guts to make some crazy high-risk gamble. But what if I told you the data proves all of that is basically a myth? Well, we're about to dive into the research from the book The Millionaire Mind and uncover the real and honestly often surprising secrets to actually building wealth.
Let's just start with this quote because it's pretty chilling. This is what a lender said to a millionaire business owner. "We own it all. You guys just run these businesses for us." Just let that sink in for a second. That completely flips the whole idea of ownership on its head, doesn't it? It suggests that a lot of people we think are rich are really just managing assets for their creditors. So it really forces us to ask this critical question, who is really in control? I mean, are the people with the flashy cars and the giant houses actually wealthy? Or are they just working for the bank? This is the central idea we're going to unpack today, the massive difference between looking wealthy and truly being wealthy.
All right, let's start by completely demolishing one of the biggest myths of all, the idea that you have to be some kind of certified genius to become a millionaire. You know the stereotype, the class valedictorian with a perfect SAT score, who's just on a fast track to financial superstardom.
Yeah, society basically drills this into our heads from day one, right? Get perfect grades, get into a top school, have a high IQ, and that's your golden ticket to wealth. It's a great story. The only problem is, the data tells a completely different one.
So check this out. Look at what actual millionaires themselves say. When they were asked how important these things were to their success, the numbers are just stunningly low. As you can see right here on the chart, only 20%, 1 in 5, said a high IQ was very important. A top-rated college, that drops to just 15%. And being at the top of your class, a tiny 11%. The very things we're told are absolutely critical, most millionaires say are almost irrelevant. This quote from a self-made millionaire, who, by the way, was a C+ student, just says it all. He totally understood that academic brilliance is valuable, sure, but it doesn't guarantee you'll be successful at building a business. Like he says, they might be brilliant, very smart people, but they're working for him.
Okay, so if it's not about being a genius, then it must be about luck, right? You know, the other big myth, the millionaire is a high-stakes gambler, just betting it all on one lucky break or a winning lottery ticket. Well, when 733 millionaires were asked to rank 30 different success factors, where do you think being lucky landed? Number 27. 27 out of 30. That's not a footnote, that's a giant flashing headline. They don't believe in luck.
And this right here reveals a massive, fundamental difference in mindset. Gamblers, they see success as luck. They take these wild, uncontrolled risks. But millionaires, they see success as something you earn. They take calculated risks, usually in their own businesses, where they actually have some control. See, they aren't playing the lottery. They're actively building and shaping their own destiny. So, if genius and gambling are just myths, then what's the reality? What's the real secret sauce? Well, the research points to 5 core pillars that consistently show up as the true foundation of financial success. And here they are. Just look at this list for a second. The number 1 factor is integrity, being honest. That's followed by discipline, social skills, having a supportive spouse, and plain old hard work. Do you notice what these are? They aren't genetic gifts, they aren't lucky breaks. These are choices. Choices about your character and the kind of people you choose to have in your life. So how do these pillars, actually translate into a real-world lifestyle? Well, it leads to a fundamental difference in philosophy that we can really sum up as this: looking rich versus actually being rich. The book makes such a brilliant distinction here. First, you've got the income statement affluent. These are the people with high incomes, but really low net worth because they spend everything they make. They look rich. But then you have the balance sheet affluent. Their entire focus is on their net worth. They live below their means, they turn their income into real wealth, and they are rich. And the habits of these truly wealthy people are, you might be surprised, pretty mundane. They tend to live in the same house for a long, long time. In fact, 40% of them are completely mortgage-free. They're disciplined, making shopping lists to avoid impulse buys. They see time as money, and they focus on long-term value, buying quality things that actually last. It's not about flash, it's all about substance.
Okay, let's really lock in this definition because it is the absolute key takeaway. Balance sheet affluent individuals are simply the best at converting their income into lasting wealth. It's not about how much you make, it's all about how much you keep and grow. That is the mindset that leads to true financial independence.
So, let's bring all this home. Let's make this about you. With all these insights, it's really a good time to just take a second and reflect on your own financial habits and your own goals.
And it all comes down to one final, really provocative question. I want you to think about your spending, your budget, your entire financial focus. Are you playing the game to build a flashy income statement, or are you playing the long game to build a truly strong and lasting balance sheet?